If you're overwhelmed by Facebook ads or complicated, expensive sounding marketing funnels, but you desperately want to grow your cleaning company without banging on doors all day or having to beg, this video is going to rock your world. I built my cleaning business at just 22 years old using a drop-dead, simple marketing plan, which is an overstatement, with almost zero spend. If you're ready for my super fantastic, unbelievable method, let's go. Here it is. I sent 10 pieces of mail a week. You want me to do it again? You writing down 10 pieces per week. Worst marketing strategy ever. And it still tripled my business in about 2 years. And I'm going to share with you exactly why and how those 10 letters built my cleaning business, and then show you how to use the same simple ideas and concepts to build your cleaning empire without wasting a ton of money on marketing that doesn't work. Truth be told, I was broke and more than a little bit scared, but I had drive, and it's a good thing I did because drive is all I had. The worst part is everywhere I turned for help gave me some version of risk a bunch of money that you don't have and then you can grow. You know, the old, you got to spend money to make money. Oh, and by the way, you should probably become a marketing expert while you're at it. Well, I had just sunk all the money I'd ever earned and borrowed a ton more money into a ServiceMaster commercial cleaning franchise, and I needed customers like now. But how was I supposed to reach them? So I had a fancy franchise with like good name recognition, but I was brand new to the cleaning industry. I mean, heck, I had actually just dropped out of community college and been waiting tables a year or two ago, so I was brand new to any industry. You throw on top of that the fact that I had 10% franchise fees that my competitors didn't have, so it always felt like I was way more expensive bidding against them than, they were. I felt completely invisible. Because I was so new, I thought that I needed like the perfect ad or the perfect marketing strategy before I could get clients. But looking back, if I'm being honest, that obsession with a professional image was really just fear dressed up in like being perfectionist clothes. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear that people would realize I was just a dopey kid and hire someone with more experience, which, like I said, at that point was basically everyone because I didn't know anything. All that kept me stuck, but I had spent all my money. I had owed a lot of money and I had a young wife, so I didn't really have any other options. I wish I could tell you I overcame my fears and started spending money I didn't have or knocking on doors, demanding to be seen, but I did not. I was scared, but desperate, so I did the least scary thing I could think of. I just sent him a letter. Not a great letter, mind you. It was actually quite awful. Like one page saying something along the lines of, I own the local ServiceMaster franchise and would like to give you a bid, please. I knew a letter wasn't going to do it and I should probably call them, but I was too scared to call another human being, so I put in the letter, I will call you like on a certain day, because I knew if I told them I would call them, I'd have to do it. And hopefully they'd be so charmed and overwhelmed with the fact that I called them when I said I would, they wouldn't notice I had no clue what I was doing. My $3.20 a week client attraction strategy was born. I know postage is more than 32 cents nowadays, and y'all got to buy your own paper and envelopes, but just let me have this one. So the first step was to figure out who to mail to. Now, I wasn't that bright and certainly not sophisticated, and the internet wasn't even a thing yet. I'm sorry, I'm so old. I just think I drove around and wrote down like the names of 10 businesses that seem to have big buildings. So the mailer is where you got fancy, right? Nope, not at all. Regular envelope, one sheet of printed paper with zero good marketing copy. I did, however, handwrite each envelope, and for the return address, I was really sneaky and I put my address but not the company name so they wouldn't know it was marketing. I didn't even have a fancy stamp machine to run them through, so I just licked them and sticked them. Later, I learned that the live stamp's actually a good thing, but at the time, it was just not having any other option. Okay, Mike, so the picking the people process was awful, and the mailer was somewhere between no good and awful. You were amazing on the phone, right? Good Lord, no. I was 22 and terrified. I can't even remember what I said, but I promise you it was some version of, did you get my mailer? Can I give you a bid? So sorry to bother you. What about follow-up? You followed up every week till they bought or died, right? Nope. Not that smart. If literally they didn't ask me to give them a bid right then and there, I gave up on them forever. Obviously, if I was smart, I would have tracked everything and I could share the cool data with you. But again, like I said, not smart. I do know those 10 letters a week was just about all the marketing we did. Again, it was a long time ago and we might have had to add the yellow pages. Again, I'm old, sorry about that. But pretty much all of our growth came from those 10 letters or people referred to us by the people that got the 10 letters. And we went from $5,000 a month in revenue to over $20,000 a month in revenue in like 2 years. I know. That's not the big fancy $0 to a gazillion in 6 months story that we hear on the internet, but it did allow me to sell a business that I had bought for $65,000 like less than 3 years ago for $275,000. I actually looked it up because I was in 2000 and it would be over $500,000 in today's money. So I sound a little more impressive. Long story short, I felt really good. The fact that I'd grown up broke, we were on welfare. I don't think my mom even had a car. And I was walking around with $500,000 in today's dollars, and I wasn't even old. Well, I was old enough to vote, but I wasn't old enough to rent a car. That's for goddamn sure. By the way, if you're finding this helpful and you want more hands-on how to build your cleaning business stuff, do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. It's free, it just takes a second, and it massages my ever so fragile ego. Also, there's a little more story than usual in this particular video. And you guys liking it or not liking it or commenting or not commenting, let me know if you like more than just boring content or more of the story. So hit me up, let me know. If you put a comment, be nice. Remember, I've got that, fragile ego. All right, enough about me and my ego. What does this have to do with you and your ability to build a cleaning company today? So glad you asked. The reason I spent so much time on that story is to make it painfully obvious. I didn't know what I was doing. I sucked at marketing. The internet wasn't a thing, so there wasn't 1,000 people or AI bots telling you how to get rich, and this still worked. So let's talk about why it worked, and more importantly, how you can take the same concepts and build something life-changing in your business today. The reason this janky strategy was so effective was a dirty word that us ADHD entrepreneurs hate. It's called consistency. Now, I wish I could tell you this thing worked right away. I sent out my first 10, got my first client. That isn't the case. Honestly, it was so long ago, I can't even tell you how long it did take me to get my first customer, but I can tell you that it worked because, like I said, I did it not even every week, just most weeks for a couple of years, and that's all we did. And like I said, we tripled our revenues. As a young, completely undiagnosed, aforementioned ADHD business owner, how did I do that one boring thing so consistently for nearly 2 years? Well, my fear actually caused me to stumble onto something amazing. Because I was so scared, I chose something I knew I could do forever. So many of us pick the latest and greatest crazy marketing strategy, but it requires to risk a bunch of money that we may or may not have. And that's a great recipe to jump in both ways and then run out of money or guts if it's not getting the return that you want and give up before it starts working. We also tend to hear some Yahoo on the internet in a rented Lamborghini telling you to buy his newfangled thing and then you'll be rich. And it sounds like a lot of work, but the marketing is good. So you jump in, you realize it's a ton harder than Lamborghini dude made it out to be, and you hate doing it. So that quickly fizzles out and you either give up or try the next crazy whiz bang thing. Alex Hormozi says, if you can't do it forever, don't do it for a day. I couldn't agree more. You'll be better off sending 10 lousy pieces of mail a week with a quick follow-up call for 2 years than you'll be trying to get up the perfect funnel, spending $411 over the span of a month or two and then moving on to the next thing when that doesn't work the way you want it. All right, you know what? I'm feeling frisky. Let me throw you in a bonus old man dummy proof strategy that anyone can do today for no money. This one's specifically for our commercial cleaning friends. Pick your best 20 or 30 prospects. They should be worth at least $100,000 lifetime value. Not a year, but lifetime over 3 or 5 years, whatever. Next, go to Costco, spend $28 on candy and 20 cheap candy jars or dishes. Take that candy to the 20 people and ask if you can leave it there at the front desk and come refill it every week. You don't have to sell anything. You don't even have to tell them you own a cleaning company. Just leave the candy and run. If you come back and refill that little jar every week without saying a word, they will ask you who you are and what you are doing. And on a bad year, 3 to 6 of those are going to become clients. You just have to do it for a long time. It's not going to happen immediately, likely. And if you get 3 to 6 clients, each one worth at least $100,000, we're talking about $500,000 of lifetime value for just a little thing every week to stop by and say hi to some people. It's like giving candy to a baby or an office full of adults and getting paid really well to do so. All right, want to get fancy and blow out your budget, spending literally dozens of dollars? When you're there, ask them what sort of food they like and then bring it. Maybe hang out and eat it with them. And then repeat. I know. If you still think I'm some sort of fancy salesperson, let me give you yet another example of me being half an idiot. I owned a construction company, went with my girlfriend at the time. She still married me after this ridiculousness, and one of my salespeople, Keith, and we went to a potential client in Vegas. Now, my girlfriend was very good looking, and we had a 6-pack of beer. It was a construction company we were selling to. They welcomed us right in. Nothing magic happened. It was 5 minutes of small talk. We were on our way out. No big deal. All right, remember earlier, the theme has been I'm half an idiot? Well, I'd locked my keys in the truck, in their fenced yard, so they couldn't leave without locking my truck in on a Friday around quitting time. So I had to do the walk of shame, head down. And not only did I have to ask if I could use their phone, I had to ask if they'd wait with me in the fenced yard since my truck was still inside. Ends up myself, my now bride, and Keith and Mike Richards, still remember the guy's name, spent, I don't know, however long a tow truck takes or a key guy takes, 30, 40 minutes sitting on the edge of that tailgate, swinging our legs, just shooting the breeze. I felt like a bit of an idiot. Nothing magical happened, but we did get to know each other, right? Consistency. Once we'd kind of blown that up, we ended up calling or spending time with them. And believe it or not, long story short, they ended up spending millions of dollars with my company. And it wasn't good marketing. It was just showing up over and over again with the little locked door action thrown in for fun. All right, I could go on forever with examples, but the big takeaway is even a terrible, awful, no good plan, half executed well over a span of time is almost always going to beat the perfect plan that you do hot and heavy for a minute and then give up, right? I also want to remind all of us that in this new AI, online world, that old school stuff is actually making a comeback. Often it's working better, not despite of online ads, but because of them. As a matter of fact, according to a study by our friends at the Postal Service, 71% of Gen X consumers find mail to be more personal than online communication. Exposure Analytics, yeah, I did my research. They report that 85% of consumers are more likely to purchase after a live in-person event. 71% of sales rely on in-person interactions, and 91% of consumers have more positive feelings about brands they meet in person. Enough of the nerd stats. Hopefully you've gotten some confidence that you don't need to be a rich marketing genius. You just need to be consistent and take action. Having personally coached thousands of owners of cleaning companies, I found it's not always knowing the new fancy thing to do. More often than not, it's just doing it, making sure that it actually happens over a consistent amount of time. Now I know it's easy to get distracted or even paralyzed by overthinking everything or thinking it needs to be perfect, but it doesn't. You just need a simple system that you'll follow and the guts to follow it, even when it gets hard, even when it gets boring. So pick one thing that you know you can do for many moons and take a small step toward it right now. Whether it's sending a dumb letter, bringing candy or food to clients, or any other simple thing that you're excited about can start on right now, and it's not something you'll do for a day, but it's something you can do forever. Let me wrap with this. If you like my vibe and you're completely committed to grow, but you feel like you need more help than 1,000 YouTube videos, feel free to shoot me an email, mike@growmycleaningcompany.com, or a DM on Instagram, just @growmycleaningcompany. Heads up, we can only take so many clients, so we only focus on clients we know we're the best helping with. So minimum, over $100,000 a year in revenue, ideally really 20,000 or more in revenue. We're trying to get everyone over that 100,000 mark profitably. But all this cool free stuff here on YouTube, I'm constantly putting up content, we've been doing it for a decade, is for people who aren't quite there yet. So we gotcha either way. Good news is, if you are doing $20,000 a month or more, I was just looking at the data for our most recent 50 clients, and I discovered over about 8.5 months, our average client increased their take-home profit by $58,380 a year. Pretty exciting. So as much as I want to pat myself on the back of my team and say, I'm a genius and our coaching's great, and it is, honestly, it's just a lot of the accountability in the community. Either way, don't let fear or even lack of money be the excuse that holds you back from building the cleaning company, the life and the freedom that you deserve. Remember, my journey started with 10 letters a week and a whole lot of debt. What is yours going to start with? Get to work and let me know how you do in the comments.